Ava talks Dante out of resigning. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel General Hospital at Alexis Place. Christina says, so I accidentally said my baby one time. She says the baby is growing in her and has taken over her life. She says T thinks she doesn't care about the baby enough, and her mom thinks she cares about it too much. Alexis says point taken. Christina admits she fell a little bit in love with this baby as it's a part of her, and it's good for the baby to feel love before it's born. She doesn't understand why everyone is freaking out. Alexis calls her not understanding everyone's freakouts is a big concern. Christina remembers finding her sister broken in the park over her struggles to have a baby, and she only wanted to help her. Alexis says they are family, they aren't perfect, and they must get each other slack. Christina says if Molly and TJ were using any other surrogate, would they be policing her as much as they are her? She doesn't believe so. Christina has to meet Allison. Alexis says she is doing an amazing thing, and Molly and TJ are just worried this will be snatched away from like everything before. Alexis says this baby will be born healthy and come into this world knowing no agenda but love. Christina heads out. Diane arrives to check on Alexis. Alexis has been going through legal books about overturning disbarments, and Diane has been doing some work as well. They haven't come up with a lot. Alexis thinks this case is doomed and says she may also have another legal crisis brewing under her own roof. She says if it explodes it will shred her family. Alexis explains that TJ and Molly are micromanaging Christina, and Christina is thinking of the baby as hers. Alexis says she brought it up to her and Christina got defensive. Diane notes Christina did supply the egg, so in the eyes of the state, Alexis knows the baby is legally Christina's. Alexis hopes she's overreacting and that Christina will come to reality and this won't come down to a legal issue. As her friend, Diane tells Alexis that she needs to stay out of this, and if either of the girls asks for legal advice she should send them to other lawyers. Diane says if she gets involved then Alexis could lose a daughter if she costs that daughter to lose a child. Blaze and Natalia take a break in the park after shopping with a stylist. While Blaze loves her looks for her tour, she wants to be able to dress how she wants in her downtime. Natalia says she doesn't have downtime as she's building a brand and that's a 24-hour job. Natalie brings up Brooklyn and her priorities being focused on her wedding and neglecting her job as manager. Natalia insists Blaze's new single can't be released without fixing that awful guitar part. Natalia says they need to use her brother on this. Blaze says she has to let her brother live his own life and let her live hers. Blaze says her brother left the music business and asks her mother to guess why. Natalia knows music is the air her son breathes, and she can convince him to return to it. Blaze says this is why Eloy wants out. She realizes she's wasting her breath talking to her mom and her brother and storms off. At Dante and Sam's, Dante continues to think he needs to resign from the force. He says the way the cops were treating Dex at Chase's party was bad, and he's actually Sonny's son, so what do they think of him? Sam says he was a cop before he knew he was Sonny's son, while Dex chose to work for Sonny. Dante still can't imagine what the others think of him. Sam says all those cops showed up to donate blood while he was in the hospital, but Dante thinks that's just what cops do for cops. Sam knows he loves his work but admits she's waited a long time for him to say he's giving up his badge. She counted the nights she lay in bed and prayed that he would come home and tell her he was done. At the hospital, she says the officers and their husbands and wives were all devastated when they visited him, but she could also tell they were relieved it wasn't them that it happened to. Sam says if he wants to give up his badge, she won't be anything but grateful. They hug and kiss. At Sonny's, he fumes to Ava about how Carly talked down to him and barged into his bathroom to check his pills. Ava says she's not showing respect for his privacy. He says she isn't and says, to hell with Carly Corinthos. Ava quips, don't you mean Carly Spencer? Sonny can't believe that's all she's got, and it was a slip of the tongue. Ava says it just shows how much she can push his buttons, and she hasn't been his wife for years but acted like she was today. Sonny knows nobody knows his condition better than Carly. Ava says Sonny has changed and Carly doesn't know him anymore. She thinks he needs to relax. Sonny says he wants to get his blood drawn to throw the results in Carly's face. She says he should do it, but it might set a bad precedent. indicating that he needs Carly's approval for every move he makes. Sonny doesn't need her approval, and he needs to take a walk alone to cool off. He heads out of the apartment. In the park, Sonny runs into Natalia, who invites him to sit and join her on this beautiful day. He sits down with her and smiles. Natalia says she's been stuck in her thoughts about her daughter, and Sonny says he's been brewing over a fight with his ex earlier. Christina heads home and finds Blaze waiting for her, having used the key she gave her to her place. Blaze couldn't go back to the Metro Court as her mother is driving her nuts. Molly drops by to check on Christina and admits she hates the way they left things this morning. Molly explains she spoke to TJ and told him that he's out of line, micromanaging every aspect of her life. Christina thanks her. Molly says she loves her and trusts her. Blaze jokes, "Could you have this conversation with my mom?" Molly says she'd love to, but tomorrow, as she took off the afternoon, she may do something crazy like go for a drink. Back at Anna's office, Dante stops in to drop something off. He puts his badge on her desk and explains he's resigning. Anna asks what has prompted this. Dante says his almost dying played a part, but the biggest factor is Sonny. He says Sonny brought up Dex and how other cops might believe anything Dex has to say about his business, but he thought Dante knew better than to believe Dex. Anna asks if Sonny asked him what Dex told the cops, would he tell his father? Dante says, not a chance. However, the line between cop and son is getting blurry. He admits he thought that Dex working for the PCPD could affect his father, and he hates that crossed his mind. Anna says he's being too hard on himself. She says he's human, and worrying isn't the same about sharing intel. Dante says that for him, it feels like he's betraying this badge, so it has to end.